Good evening and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show that's dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So it's our Monday night look back at a classic rock album. Got a real doozy today. This one brings back a lot of memories. Yes, Mr. King, it's finally going to happen. This is Triumph's Allied Forces, an album released on September the 19th, 1981, about 38 minutes in length. Was recorded at the Metalworks Studio in Mississauga. These guys did a lot of their stuff here. RCA, TML, at Attic Records labels, produced by Triumph themselves. The members of the band include Rick Emmett, spelled R-I-K, because it was a typo on the first album and they forgot the C, and so he just stuck with it. Vocals and guitars, all the lead guitars, pretty much everything that's guitar oriented. Gil Moore, he did lead vocals as well, drums and percussion. And then you got Mike Levine on bass, organ, synthesizer, and some piano as well here. The other instrument, there was another lady on the album who did backing vocals. Elaine Overholt was her name. Okay, so that's the basic stats about this album, but there's a lot about this album that brings back a lot for me. First, this came out in the summer. 1981 was the summer. I was still, I was in high school, between grades 10 and 11, going to a new school the next year. The album came out and we went to see them at the CNE Grandstand, or if you like, the Mistake by the Lake. And great concert. Teenage Head was opening, and they were the headliners, of course. They have such a great stage show, really great lighting show. Rick Emmett is actually, he's great on the albums, but he's even better live as far as his guitar ability goes. So, and at that point in time, Triumph was probably at their peak with me, because I had come in, I went to see them at Maple Leaf Gardens the year before for the Progressions of Power tour. I had come in right around that time, like just slightly before that. The album came out, I was huge, and then this album was even bigger for me at the time. So I was at Triumph, I was at the top of my powers with Triumph at that time. My favorite album by them isn't either of these albums, but I always mix these two albums up, Progressions of Power and Allied Forces. I always think certain tracks are on this one and they're actually on the other one. But I think the Progressions of Power album is a little bit more progressive oriented, and this one's a little bit more rock oriented. So it depends on what your preferences are. So this is a good album. The concert was fantastic. I have some photos of it somewhere, probably in my photo collections. The guy who came with me was a real camera buff, and he liked to take pictures. So hats off to you, John Bonder, wherever you happen to be these days. Anyways, like I said, some really good stuff on this album. So I made just a few notes. So basically, the vocal duties were kind of split between the two of them. I think Rick Emmett did a little bit more, and he had the bigger radio songs, I guess you might want to call them. He did the vocals for the radio songs. But I've always liked Gil Moore's voice. I think he and Emmett are a good combination to have. You get a little bit, one's a little more bluesy oriented and more tenor sounding, and the other one's more soprano with a more rocky voice. So you get a nice mix of voices here. Kind of not totally dissimilar from what you might get from Supertramp, same kind of thing, right? So anyways, Fool for Your Love is the first track. Great opening track, really heavy, some nice banging guitars on this particular track. I love this track, and Gil Moore's vocals are like he really suits the song well without those vocals, I love it. Then you get the kind of poppy, kind of power pop song that was kind of their big anthem type hit, Magic Power. I never really cared much for this song. I was kind of, I guess, in pursuit of a girl at work, and she really liked this song, so I guess I kind of put up with it a bit. anyways, this is a power pop by Emmett. He did the singing on this particular song. Then you get the kind of keyboard intro, air raid is what it's called. It basically sounds like a war's about to start, and then they come in with the song Allied Forces, which Gilmore also sings. Another really heavy rock song. So far up to this point, so the first 4 or 5 songs, pretty much rockin' songs. Then you get Hot Time in the City, another kind of rocking, kind of party anthem type song, with this time Emmett singing on the vocals. Pretty upbeat, pretty heavy song. Lots of really good guitar soloing on this particular track. Then you get the kind of the backside of the album, which is more. This is the reason why I get it mixed up with the Progression of Power. There's a lot more progressiveness on the backside. Kind of sounds like some of the songs would fit onto Progressions of Power a little bit better. Fight the Good Fight, of course. I want to say that this is probably one of my top 2 or 3 Triumph songs. Just such a good song. Fight the good fight every moment, you know. Rick Emmett on vocals, and he wails on the guitar on this too. Really knocks it out of the park. And then you get the less bombastic but more soulful song in Ordinary Man. Always liked this song. It's always been one of my top 10 favorite Triumph songs. Such a soulful feeling. Both of them sing on this, both Moore and Emmett. It's one of the few tracks where they both sing, and I think it's really kind of it's just so different from what they usually do. You get Moore doing the kind of soulful part, and then the heavy part that comes exploding out of it. Emmett does that, so just great. Then you have a kind of a classical guitar bit, which I always like. Petite Etude is what it's called. Really good, tastefully done, not too long, not too short, perfect. And then you got the last track on the album, which is appropriately called Say Goodbye. Always like this track. I think Emmett's vocals are really good on it. It's not one of my favorite tracks on the album, but it's definitely in the top 2 or 3. Probably the third one. After Ordinary Man and Fight the Good Fight, I probably like it the next best. So you got 2 sides of an album. The back side is more progressive, more emotional, I guess, and then you get the front side's more of a party rockin' thing. So really solid album. It's been one of my favorite Triumph albums since it came out, and that was the last time I seen them, was the Allied Forces tour back in '81. Probably could have seen them a couple of other times too, but I had gotten started to kind of drift away from live performances. And the other thing is too that I think one time they came a couple years down the road to play. They were playing at roughly the same time as Ronnie James Dio was playing at the what was the name of that place? Anyways, Ronnie James Dio was in town playing with a 3-bill. Anvil and Metallica were the other 2 bands. Both of them were pretty new bands at the time, so nobody even knew who they were. But he was playing at that place that I can't remember, and Triumph was playing again at the Gardens. And I'd already seen Triumph, but I wanted to see Dio, but I could only afford to go to one or the other, so I chose to go to Dio, and I don't think I saw them again after that. They may have come one other time that I missed out as well. But anyways, great band. I'm kind of sad that I drifted away from them a bit, but that happened with just about all the bands at that time period for me. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Look Back at a Classic Rock Album. Please please subscribe. It's much appreciated. What are your experiences with Triumph? How do you feel about this particular album? And we'll be back next Monday with another classic rock album. So have yourself a great day. Bye.